Yes, Ampaholic strikes again. Hohner Concertophon number 3. Looks like a Music Man logo, but Hohner is not Hohner or Hafner. They mostly make like melodicas and keyboard instruments, I think. Shame on me. I didn't even know I had this. Of course, Hohner is the original harmonica, blues harp, and harmonica company. Like founded way back in the 19th century, about 1851. Only like 15 years after Martin. Like even 20 years before Germany was established. And they are solely responsible for popularizing the harmonica. Oops, one missing. I think also that this is like accordion amp or something like this. Might be an accordion amp. Let's have a look. Eingange. Ingoings. These are the inputs. 1, 2, 3. 3 accordions. Can be connected at the same time. But it's all DIN plugs. We don't have treble, we have sopran. And we have like bass. They all... this one seems stuck a bit. A blender. Let's mix, I think. Eingang number 4. Where's Eingang number 4? Only vibrato, without vibrato, without tremolo. This is the vibrato Fernschalter. This is the remote switch. Fern, far away, Schalter, Schaltung, switch. Vibrato ohne oder mit Vibrato, also ja, genau. Okay, Frequenz und Amplitude für den Vibrato, ja. Und da steht ein, aber es gibt nichts und die Schaltung ist blockiert in den Einstand hier. It's locked in the on position. How could that happen? WD-40? Nothing. So that's why I made this quick video, is I will have to take the back off. The power cord is hidden away here. Seems to be one that is got off of mom's clothes iron. But yeah, we'll take the back off and then we'll check again. Okay, the back's off. Here's another look at the amp, but I discovered this little thingy here in the cable compartment. It's 0-1, and if I follow that cable, it's not for the tremolo or anything like that. It goes directly into the power section. So maybe this is the alternative on-off button, and that's why it's locked in the on position here. So let's try it. Let's see if we can get some fuego on the Ravoles. Oh man. Oh yeah, we got a pilot light. Okay, we got fuego on los favolas. Oh, Space Invaders! Wagwan. Dirty pots. Bit of static. Okay, it's working. Yeah. That one is locked into place. But let's see if we can connect something like guitar wise. Well, I just hit the amp real hard on the side and most of the noise disappeared. And even though if I turn the volume to max, it's kind of okay. And I think I can hear the tremolo going. It's at maximum speed here. You're slowing down. This is still locked in place. I'll have to check this one. The depth. But you only want a full depth of the tremolo all the time. Just want to vary the speed. Dirty pots, of course, and dirty tube sockets for sure. Even though the amp looks really, really clean on the inside. Here's the guts of the power section with a variable resistor to change the bias. Probably cathode biased with a big resistor. Like probably will have to be 15 watts or something like that. Some wiring here which should go to the switch. Old school point-to-point wiring, which will give some extra work when we will change out the capacitors in the circuit, like these blue ones. For now, I first want to clean the tube sockets and inspect the tubes, and then fire it up again to see where we are. Yeah, maybe this capacitor in the preamp section needs to be replaced. I already checked them and they look okay, but we'll tag some new capacitors across to see if we get any improvement on the noise and intermittent problems we had with the circuit. But it might well be that cleaning the tube sockets is going to fix that. All of the tubes seem to have some kind of coating on them, which I'll have to look up to decode them. They all have these tube retainers with some cardboard attached to it to protect the tubes. But we have some green residue, oxidation or something, on the tube sockets. And I'm going to clean the power tube pins as well. Okay, I cleaned out the preamp tube sockets with some contact cleaner as well. Let that soak in while we take a look at the tubes. The right one here is definitely also Telefunken. and so is this one. This was in V1, and it might be Telefunken as well, but the construction is slightly different. Also, the color of the plates and the construction on the bottom is different. So I'm pretty sure that these two are Telefunkens. This one has all the markings on it. For this one, it's worn off, even though it has the number on the top, same as this one, even consecutive numbers, number 129 and 130. Also, the top of this tube is slightly different. It's got some markings, but most of it. There's some really good information available about dating Telefunken tubes. And according to my calculation, the power tubes is at least, oops, whoa. The power tubes at least were made in Berlin, the 4th of March. And the year number that's indicated is a 3. Now, the date code that's on these, this is the rectifier tube. And it's even got a different type of coating on it. But both of these power tubes have got what is probably exactly the same date code on them, and they will be 1963. Hohner started using this type of date coding in 1958 and up until 1978. So we'll sort of have to guess the exact year on the basis of this number. So let's plug these back in and then test the amp before you do anything really destructive. There is this umbilical cord that leads up into from the preamp into the power amp, and it's a bit damaged, so I'll have to look into that. This has got some hot glue on it that I am surprised to find in a 60s amp. We'll definitely change all these out. Well, everything is fairly hunky-dory, but until you do this. It's not microphonics in the tubes here. But it's the preamp losing ground reference, I think. So we'll have to check this out. Maybe also the umbilical cord and spray some contact cleaner in there. Okay, the issue is clearly inside the preamp section. It's got to do with this second tube socket. Makes the sound cut in and out. We'll have to have a closer look at the voltages here and the soldering. Other tubes don't have the same effect, and I also replaced this one with a very good and trusty Chinese 12AX7, which probably sounds like shit, but never goes microphonic. I had already replaced this fourth jack because it was the easiest one to change out. Still, this is the Tremolo foot switch, and contrary to what's happening in Fenders, I cannot use a simple chassis mounted jack because it will short out to the chassis, and this is not a kind of tremolo switch that works with connecting stuff to ground. It connects the signal path here with the green wire and this resistor here. So this is kind of ugly, but still we're gonna have to do all of these. The problem with the first two inputs is that sort of a mixer is mounted to the input jacks or the inputs here. Although it's not really connected to the input, it's in between the first tube and the second one, I think. I've started to trace out the circuit, and it's something like this. This is 50 microfarads. We have like 2 megs to ground to the grid, 200k on the plate, and a 4k resistor on the cathodes with a 50 microfarad capacitor bypassing it. I've already replaced one of the bypass caps, they are the blue ones here, with a new one, because the value measured double of what is indicated on the capacitor itself. There are like 3 more of these, but while I was getting into this section of the amp, I thought let's replace the capacitor now that I've got other stuff out of the way. So far, so good. Input is here. It goes to this tiny capacitor to the other side of the board. Here, this shielded wire coming in. This black wire comes in here. Okay. Then the green wire goes off to the grid of the tube here. Down here. Comes off the plate through this capacitor here for DC blocking into the volume pot. Out of the volume pot to this mixing node with 510k resistor here, and the same is happening for the other channel. Comes in through the tiny capacitor into out to here. This goes to the grid. There's a that was the case for the other as well. There's a 2 meg resistor to ground. Comes off the plate. This black wire here, it's coming. The signal comes off the plate through the coupling cap down here, 6 nanos, into the second pod and out to this network. Now this is connected to this whole network here through the capacitor and bleeds off signal. It's a filtering network to clear up the sound. So first thing I'm gonna do is just cut it out, install the proper jacks and keep it as a board. We can always put it back in. The result of this, the resulting signal just goes out through this one wire. Green is signal wire for and then up to here and then into the next tube. We'll have a look at that later. Here is what I am very much convinced is a sort of filtering network to tailor the sound, to sound better with your accordion, of course. Clears up some space here, huh? Now let's change these bypass caps for starters. Well, we still have access to this area. I'm considering converting one of the 2 preamp stages or sides of the first triode to conventional small input resistor, 1 meg to ground, and then straight to the grid, avoiding all this stuff here, and maybe keep one stock with the capacitor in line with the signal. I haven't even been able to discover what the value is of that. Let me see. 15 nano. Yeah, I'm keeping all the parts, of course, in the baggie and all the capacitors in case the customer wants to change his beauty back to its original status. Maybe some kind of hardcore accordion freak wants to get the original amp back. So don't worry, accordion player, I got you covered, dude. I think these capacitors, these blue ones, you find them in a lot of 60s electronic stuff from Europe. Yeah, I think they're Philips. They have no branding on them. I got these beautiful replacements, West Germany 70s. These silver suppository bullets. They will do just fine. Maybe they're not the best capacitors, but they're only bypass capacitors for the cathode. I'm just really glad it's something suitable to the amp. ESR of 0.40, but double the size or double the capacity of what they originally were, 50 microfarads. So. Although this amp is now happily crunching away, there is still a problem with the tremolo circuit. After my first trial it just died. Well, this is what I believe to be one of the plate resistors for the 12AX7 that's doing the tremoloing. And it measured open circuit when I measured it before. Now I reflowed the solder on both points. Now it measures 14 meg. So this plate resistor is done. I noticed this because the plate voltage is very low on this 12AX7. When I measured this resistor, it's 200k as it should be. I rechecked the power section of the amp and it's all running very much okay. The capacitors that I could test here seem to be alright. Bias is okay, but I did discover that the 3-prong cord that was installed was missing the earth connection. So even though there was a tab here, we'll put this in here, reconnect the power, and then time to reassemble the amp. Okay, we have a proper chassis ground now here. Power comes in here, goes to the switch, the white one, and back into the power transformer. So maybe we'll experience a bit less hum and noise, although this was quite okay before I changed this, but this is a safety measure, of course. It's also important to make a note that, of course, the outermost terminals constitute a 16 ohm tab. The transparent lead here will be the 8 ohm tab, and the closest one to the common is the 4 ohm tab, which means that probably this one was wired wrong. Anyways, the speaker are 8 ohms, so it was connected here. I did this just by listening to it, and with this 16 ohm cabinet that I've got, it sounded much better with this configuration on the blue wire of the output transformer. Well, just to sum up everything, what did we do to this little thing? I did like basic repairs. You saw in the beginning of the video that it was like farting out. I tried to solve that and not mess with the circuit too much. We replaced all the inputs with guitar friendly or even microphone friendly jacks. All the knobs were okay. I put in a new on-off switch. We replaced most of the bypass capacitors. The filter capacitors were not changed because they were doing okay. Of course, we also took out this tone sucker circuit that was attached to the first stage, because this stage has extra gain, one gain stage extra when compared to the third and the fourth input. And I might get deeper into this amp at a certain point. I just want to try it out as it is now. The main problem is the speakers, I think. They're Alnicos and they're vintage, but they're very thin sounding. So I might be hunting down some semi-okay 10-inch speakers to put in this thing. Also, I didn't put in an external jack for another speaker because I will do that as soon as I get new speakers. It's hard to know what goes in parallel with the existing speakers being 8 ohms. Yes. There you can stash your stuff. Well, I think that's it for the Hohner Concertophon. It's kind of a blues thing. Certainly, the speakers are not totally ready yet, but still, as the amp is, it's quite interesting. Yes, it might make a beautiful harp amp, blues harp amp for somebody who really likes Hohner, the original promoters of the harmonica and the blues harp, right?